What's up, everybody? I'm a 90s Star Wars kid, and today we're back with more Star Wars Unlimited. But this time, instead of cracking open a box or packs or a pre-release box, we're going to take the hypothetical Jump to Lightspeed pre-release 30-card deck that we created in the previous video, and we're going to put it to the test against a computer player online. So I took those 30 cards, I put them into this system. We're now playing with the 30-card deck that we built. And what we're going to do, there's no way to play against a computer that I know of with also a 30-card deck. So instead, my thinking is, if that 30-card deck is pretty good, we should be able to compete pretty well against the Spotlight decks for Jump to Lightspeed. We're going to do best 2 out of 3 against the Han Solo Spotlight deck. And then we're going to do best 2 out of 3 against the Boba Fett Spotlight deck. And we're going to see if we can win any of these games with the deck that we created. Here I've already started the game against the Han Solo Spotlight deck. We have our initial hand here and we're asked, do we want to take a mulligan? We do have one card that we can play here on turn 1, which, I wish we had 2 or 3 maybe. But let's go ahead and take this hand and let's see what we can do. So I'll say no to the mulligan, and now we've got to pick our first 2 resources. I'm going to pick the most expensive unit here because we won't be able to use that until turn 3. And then I also doubt that we're going to need Sentinel early on. So let's choose those as the resources and let's get going. We're going to go first. So I'm going to play the one unit we can play here, which is the X-Wing. They're going to play a Wolfpack Escort. That's a 2-1, we're a 2-1. We'll see if we have Sentinel, so we'll see if next turn if we end up trading. But I'm going to take initiative and let's go to the next turn. Okay, I like General Draven, but we're pretty early in the game and he's expensive, so he's just going to sit around for a while. I'm going to go ahead and turn him into a resource. In terms of first move, let's see, we could play the Zygerian Starhopper that we just drew. We could also play the Death Space Skirmisher, and that actually might be a good move. I was thinking about attacking right off the bat to use Darth Vader's ability, but if we play the Death Space Skirmisher, we can actually exhaust the Wolfpack Escort before he can even attack. Let's go ahead and do that and see how it plays out. We'll exhaust that. All right, opponent plays Admiral Akbar, still manages to do indirect damage and kill our I thought it was an X-Wing. It was a scouting headhunter. Admiral Akbar is a 1/4 restore 1. When played, you may deal damage to a unit equal to the number of units you control in its arena. Okay, so be it. Which means we did not get to attack with space, which means we don't get to use Darth Vader's ability, which means we're just going to have to take initiative. All right, we've got a tandem assault, not relevant to us right now because we don't have any ground vehicles. In fact, it'll take at least 2 more turns to even get a ground unit going, so I'm just going to resource that. Okay, Wolfpack Escort over here. We have a 3/3, that's a 2/1, which means if they attack us, we will survive. I really want to get the attack on the base to create a TIE Fighter token. What do we want to do here? Clone Combat Squadron. We definitely want to play sometime soon because it gets +1/+1 for each additional space unit, and we want to start building up that damage. So let's start with the attack and see where we end up this turn. We'll attack the base, get some base damage going, which they'll restore some with Admiral Akbar. All right, he just used Han's ability, which just gave a +1 to Akbar. Let's see, reveal the top card of your deck. If the revealed card has different odd costs, get +1/+0. Yep, okay. So we could play... We only have enough resources to either play the Zygerian Starhopper or the Clone Combat Squadron. If we played the Zygerian Starhopper, we can't afford to play Houndstooth. So given that resource consideration, I'm going to play the Clone Combat Squadron. All right, and what the opponent just did something that drew some cards. So that's not good. And we got a 3/3 now over here. So now it can kill us It can kill our Death Space Skirmisher. We're going to activate the action ability to create a TIE fighter. And then, let's see, do they attack base? Okay, they attack base instead of us. We'll take initiative. And playing R2-D2 and Clone Deserter. So we don't have any ground game going on here, so we really got to start putting on a lot of damage in the space game. Now, we just drew a focus fire. This will allow us to kill their space unit without actually running an attack. In terms of what we throw away, I mean, I think we're kind of hopeless on the ground. So I'm just going to avoid the ground, and we're going to try to really start putting damage in via space. Let's go ahead and focus fire. We're going to focus fire on this guy. He's gone. Now the opponent's going to try to add 1 to an attack. Going to get us for 3 and restore 1. Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and punch it. We're trying to get maximum damage here. So we will maximize the damage to a 7. All right, now we're going to lose a bunch of cards and a bunch of damage is going to be done to us. So we just lost our next best space unit, unfortunately. Then we will attack with this one, and we'll have Vader generate another TIE fighter for us. Create a TIE fighter, then we'll get probably one more attack, or we're going to deploy Han Solo. All right, we're just going to take initiative, so they're going to get more damage on us this turn, and we're going to really try to see if we can do a lot of damage on the next turn, because next turn we get a Vader flip. Okay, tandem assault we don't need because we're all in on space. We have initiative. The first thing we're going to do, and we're going to really hope they can't exhaust us, because we're going to take Vader and we're going to deploy as a pilot, giving us now a 12-12. All right, now down to 11-11, but that gives us an 11 attack. In we go for 11. All right, we're trading in space. That's fine, all things considered. And now let's see. So we'll go ahead, we'll play Houndstooth. We're going to get attacked. We're going to play Flanking Fang Fighter, get attacked, and the initiative is going to be the most important thing here. So we'll take initiative, and unless he can restore... Okay, so the opponent only has 12 hit points left, and we have a 12-12 right now. And well, it wouldn't even matter, but with attack run, we could actually get 2 attacks in, just to prove the point. Attack with 2 space units, 1 at a time. So we'll do attack run. And this is going to end the game right here, but even if it wasn't enough, we could follow up immediately with another attack. So that's 12, that ends the game. We could then follow up with Houndstooth for another 4. All right, so game 1 in the books against the Han Solo Spotlight deck. Now, game number 2. Let's do it. Opening hand, we have multiple turn 1 plays, so we won't take a mulligan. We'll get our most expensive guy out of here. We're going to keep the tandem assault this time because we do have 1 ground unit. Maybe it'll be worth it. Although, to be honest, I think I might rather keep the rest of these vehicles. So let's actually get rid of tandem assault, and we'll keep the vehicles. Turn 1, we can play a First Order TIE, a Zygerian Starhopper, or an X-34 Landspeeder. I'm going to save the X-34 to see if we can take advantage of the ambush. Zygerian Starhopper It has more defense against an early effect, but let's see if we can keep our First Order TIE Fighter alive. All right, they're coming out with another Wolfpack escort. We're going to take initiative so we can at least get a base attack in. General Draven, I'm going to get rid of him again because he's high cost, but I do wish I could play him, but that's just too many turns from now for me to be worried about that. Okay, first I want a base attack to take advantage of Vader's ability. And we're going to hope that the opponent attacks base as well. Oh, no, now we're going to get destroyed by that effect, unfortunately. Okay, well, we got 3 resources here. We could go ahead and play our 3 cost, which can attack for 4, or we could play the Kijimi Patrollers, which will give us 2 1 units, and we could play the Zygerian Starhopper, which will give us a 2. I guess let's go for the volume. Let's go for the volume play. Oh, actually, sorry, I miscounted. I thought we had 4 resources, so what I just said was nonsense, and that was the wrong move. We should have played the Houndstooth. But we will take advantage of Vader's action to get a TIE Fighter, and we're going to really hope that resource mistake doesn't come back to bite me. We'll take initiative. All right, we can trade with our opponent by playing Scouting Headhunter. We can also force an attack on this guy for 1. Let's see, what do we want to do here? I think, again, I'm going to stay away from the ground game and just try to race in space. So now we do have 4 resources, so we can, I'm going to probably start with an attack, but we can either play 2 2s or 1 of this 3. Let's start with the attack so we can take advantage of Vader's ability. And now he's a 3-1 because of the Han effect. And let's just, with this TIE Fighter, since he only does 1 damage, let's just clear that guy off the board. All right, now it's going to restore and attack for 2. We'll play the Kijimi Patrollers. The Millennium Falcon just came out. We will force the Millennium Falcon to hit our Scouting Headhunter, although I'm worried about Han flips next turn, which is not good, because Han's going to be put onto the Millennium Falcon. Most likely. Let's see. We have initiative. I think it's more important to keep initiative right now than to get another TIE Fighter. So let's take initiative. Tandem Assault we have no use for because we have no ground game. And we're back. We just went 2 for 3 against a Han Solo deck, so we beat Han, best 2 out of 3. Now we're going to face the Boba Fett Spotlight deck, best 2 out of 3. Now this one's probably going to be a whole lot tougher because Boba Fett does a bunch of indirect damage, and later in the game, or around mid-game, when Boba Fett rolls out, when the leader gets flipped, we're going to start to also see fire spray ships. So not only are we taking indirect damage early, but then we're facing some big hit point obstacles in the mid to late game. So we basically have to sprint to do 30 damage to this base as quickly as possible. Now I've got the the first hand drawn here. It's asking if I want to take a mulligan as we get started. We do have 2 opening units here and 2 possible turn 2 units. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to accept this hand. So no to the mulligan. We're going to get rid of the corporate light cruiser because it's so expensive. And then the question is, what else do we want to use as an opening resource? The dorsal turret. The nice thing about the dorsal turret is that we can put it on a 1-1 or a 2-1 space vehicle, and we can use it to kill a much bigger opponent ship. Unfortunately, it's probably not that useful in the early game, and so I'm tempted to throw it away in favor of keeping the rest of these units. In fact, I think that's what I'm going to have to do here. I'm going to have to keep my 2 opening units and my 2 turn 2 units. So now, which unit do we want to play first? I think we want to use both of our resources, so we'll play the Kajimi Patrollers and also get a TIE Fighter out there. Opponent plays Zygerian Starhopper. Okay. And then we will take initiative. Again, we're in early game, so I'm going to get rid of the useful but expensive timely reinforcements. And now we've got to think about what we want to do here. The Zygerian Starhopper, he'll probably attack the base, but he also kind of wants to die so he can deal 2 indirect damage. I guess we'll go ahead and we'll attack the base with our Kajimi Patrollers so we can activate Darth Vader's effect and then see what we want to do. All right, and there's some of that indirect damage that gets in the way. So the Elite P-38 Starfighter, when played, you may deal 1 damage to a unit. They just took out my TIE Fighter token, and now the hero flips, Boba Fett flips, and deals another damage, which we're going to have to take on our base because we don't want to kill off our Kajimi Patrollers. With that, we can either now play... We can do a 1 space unit, 1 ground unit for 3, or we can put in all 3 on a beefier space unit. If we play Death Space Skirmisher, we can exhaust the Zygerian Starhopper for another turn. That might be nice. Flanking Fang Fighter doesn't do anything for us this turn, but next turn it would give us 4 damage to spend. If we do the First Order TIE Fighter, we can get... because we should have a token, we can get 3 damage on that. The X-34 Land Speeder, it'd be nice to make use of the ambush, but I think maybe we just need to make a volume play here. So... what should we do? I think I'll do the Death Space Skirmisher to prevent damage this turn, in the hopes that we can make something happen next turn. Let's see, the opponent's gonna have initiative. Yeah, I mean, there's no, I don't see any great move here. So we'll also activate Vader to give us another TIE Fighter, and then we're gonna pass. Okay, Tandem Assault. That could be useful here in a moment with the Guerrilla Soldier. So I think now, actually, we probably want to ditch the Land Speeder. Because we can, for one more price, one more cost, we can get the same attack and defense, but we can do 3 indirect damage. So let's get rid of the Land Speeder. Opponent's going to attack my Death Space Skirmisher, so that was a trade, and then unfortunately it did indirect damage. Gosh, that kills me. So now I guess let's play Guerrilla Soldier because either our opponent's going to have to take all 3 of that to this one unit and kill it off, or our opponent is going to take damage to the base, which readies the unit. So do damage to the opponent, 2 there, 1 there, okay. Now the unit is ready. And then they're going to trade, but now we're going to get 2 indirect damage. I'll take that on the base for now. And then I will attack with this unit. And honestly, we're so far behind on base damage here. Gosh. And then we'll play the First Order TIE Fighter. Played Force Choke. Getting demolished here. All right, well, we'll take initiative then. Okay, well, we're still a couple turns away from the Quasar TIE Carrier, but I think we're falling so far behind that actually maybe we need to bet on that at this point. Given we have no ground unit available to us, let's get rid of the tandem assault. Now I am going to punch it as we attack with this TIE Fighter just to try to get some damage done to this base. And this is what I was afraid of, this fire spray. We're just going to have to take that on the base. And then we'll play the flanking Fang Fighter. Unfortunately, we lost initiative, but if we don't get some stuff out here, we're in big trouble. All right, we will pass. We're going all space, I think, so we'll skip the ground unit. Now the opponent's going to do some nasty stuff here. Ugh. So he flips Boba Fett, and because Boba Fett's a pilot, that just royally screwed up our board there. We can flip Vader into this TIE Fighter, but the fire spray over here can kill it. But that's kind of our only move, I think. So we'll deploy Vader as a pilot. It's a 7-6 with 2 TIE Fighters. 2 indirect damage. We'll just take it to the base, I guess. Ouch. Well, let's see. So do we want to kill... So we can kill that ship right now. Although I feel like we got to play the Quasar this turn. So if we kill it, we're going to lose our 7-6 here with Vader, and we're going to lose one of our TIE Fighters. Actually, I'm sorry. I forgot that these guys are already spent. I guess we got to do the damage and then try to take initiative if we can. Actually, let's do this. We're going to attack the base for 7. Then hopefully we can still play the Quasar TIE Carrier and still get initiative. And then with initiative, next turn, we will use attack run to do 2 ships against the fire spray and hopefully kill it. Of course, we're going to see what the opponent plays with all 6 of his resources over there. Okay. Which that's a 5 banger. That's not good. Darn it. And the opponent took initiative. So now we're in big trouble. He can actually... He's going to win next turn if he doesn't do anything dumb. think we'll just keep all of that. Two indirect damage. We'll take it on the Quasar. Yep, that's game. So the best that we could do here, I mean, we could get close, but here's where we end up. We play attack run. We first go for 7, which is 24, and then we go for 5, which is 29, and then he wins the game. Oh, man. Ugh. Did you see a winning move that I missed there? Is there one move that would have won that game for us? We're now 1 loss. We're 0 for 1 against Boba Fett. Here we go again. This is game 2. Let's see what we can do. And here we've got some opening moves. We'll see how this goes. Opponent's gonna mulligan and redraw. All right, what are we gonna resource here? These clone combat squadrons are actually super powerful in the mid game if we can get a few tokens out. So I really would like to keep both of those. I guess I'll give up. I mean, the Houndstooth is really useful against a fire spray because it can get in there and possibly kill it. Before it kills us, if it's not upgraded. But I think I'm gonna have to get rid of these two and just deal with it. So we're gonna start by playing the Kajimi Patrollers, which give us a tie token. And then this guy is gonna do indirect damage here pretty quick. We will take initiative. Let's see, what do we want to get rid of here? I like the indirect damage of Guerrilla Soldier, so I'm going to get rid of the Shadowed Hover Tank, even though Sentinel certainly is nice. And I'm going to play, this is dangerous, but I'm going to play this pilot before I attack. And he's going to attack me. So first, indirect damage, we'll take that to base. Then we're going to take another indirect to base from Boba Fett. Then we're going to take 2 from this guy to base. It's killer, man. It's killer. Okay. Then I'm going to attack their base for 2. And then I'm going to attack for 1. They take initiative. We're going to spawn a token. And at least starting next turn, we can get one of these clone combat squadrons out if we want to. I'm going to get rid of Diversion, which gives Sentinel. It's useful, but of the things we've got in hand, I think that might be the least useful. So the opponent starts, plays a space unit that does 1 indirect damage, 2 indirect damage, 3 indirect damage. Oh, that is ridiculous. That just totally blew up our entire plan here. Wow. So playing a clone I mean, I guess we still have to play that, because at least it'll be a 4/4. But I guess actually before I do that, let me attack with this guy just to make sure our attack goes through. All right, now we got a bunch of damage coming in again. Play this guy. Get attacked again. Create token. They take initiative again. Pass. corporate light cruiser, we actually might need that with ambush if a fire spray comes out. Punch It is useful. I think the least valuable card at this point then is Tandem Assault. Okay, oh, it's Overwhelmed. Darn it. That's killer. Let's see. What do we want to do here? Let's attack for 6 with the Clone Combat Squadron. And then we will attack with the Patroller. 2 damage. They just killed our Patroller. And wow. This deck is just dominating us. Let's play this unit to do 3 indirect damage. And that did not do a whole lot. We'll take an indirect damage there. We'll take another 2 there. Take more indirect damage. And then we'll just take initiative because that's probably more valuable than another TIE Fighter token at this point. Okay. We will get rid of the pilot. And now, I think I'm going to start by, well, see, he's gonna flip Boba Fett on this round. So there's, I don't know what we do at this point. I'm going to ambush this guy. And I didn't even, oh, and then when Boba Fett flips out as a pilot, it does indirect damage, kills off my ship that I just played, and now there's a 7/6 interceptor over here. Unbelievable. Let's create a TIE Fighter token, and then we'll deploy, but I think it's way too late to do anything here. And then they force choke my Vader, which is kind of ironic. Well, we only have 1 defense left now on Vader. I mean, I guess we might as well get that 5 damage in on the base. But now this guy becomes a 4/3 because we're damaged with Overwhelm. We'll take the initiative. Wow, they just totally cleared the board. Awful, awful play here. Okay. Doesn't really matter what we do here. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we'll have 7. 7 will allow us to play these 2. So okay, actually that would be with Sentinel. You may deal 3 damage to a space. Okay. So if we play this guy, we get to create some X-Wings with Sentinel. They only have Sentinel for this phase. So, you know, we'll see what happens here then. I will get rid of General Draven, even though he could have given us a bunch of X-Wings. And then it's our turn. So what I'm going to do is timely reinforcements, which creates a few X-Wings for us. And they all have Sentinel for this phase. 2 indirect damage, going to have to send that to an X-Wing to keep it off our base. Okay. And then we're going to play this guy, which is Sentinel on the ground, at least as long as we control a vehicle. And then they're going to attack one of our X-Wings. And then we're going to take initiative for the next turn. All right. Now, so, we were so close again. Okay, so here's the thing. With the Death Space Skirmisher, if I can play this right now, and I can exhaust one of these 2 units, but the second one attacks me and kills me. Or I could play Eager Escort Fighter, which allows me to ambush one of these 2 and I kill it, but then the second one attacks me and I lose. That's how close we were. Because if we kill both of these guys, I mean, I've got units to play and do damage, and we have a Sentinel down here on the ground. We're probably 2 turns away from winning, depending on what's in the opponent's hand. But unfortunately, because we're at exactly 26 damage, we are exactly where he needs us to be to win the game. Yeah. Okay, well, done. So then I'll kill off Boba Fett. But again, we still lose. Two indirect damage. Obviously, we can't allow that to our base. We'll take it on the X-Wing, who dies, and then the attack goes through, and it's game over. Okay. Well, we're now 0 for 2. We lost that the round or whatever against that opponent. But let's try one more. Let's see if we can go 1 for 3. So let's restart. All right, we got some opening plays here, so no mulligan. The opponent did mulligan. I will get rid of the Quasar TIE Carrier and attack run. So let's see. I'll play the Zygerian Starhopper, I think. Opponent's going to do 2 damage. Chooses the base. And then another indirect damage from Boba Fett. And we will take initiative. Corporate Light Cruiser is too expensive. I'll get rid of that. I'll start off with an attack before the opponent has some way to stop that. Opponent puts out a TIE Bomber. I'd really like to get rid of that because it's going to do 3 indirect damage over and over. Let's see. So I guess, we'll play the Scouting Headhunter. Opponent takes initiative, which unfortunately is going to let him use the bomber before we can stop it. And if we're going all space, we'll get rid of the land speeder. Okay, so our opponent played a unit instead of attacking first, which is gonna end up being a mistake, because I can play Death Space Skirmisher, which allows me to exhaust the TIE Bomber so it can't attack this turn. And I'll also play First Order TIE Interceptor, and then this TIE Bomber doesn't do any direct damage, so usually I would be racing to destroy the base, but I think we've got to clear this guy out of here. Especially given we don't even have to trade any units to do it. We just got to trade opportunity cost. And then we'll just attack with the TIE fighter on the base for 1. And then we will activate Vader for a token, and then we will pass. And we'll get rid of Punch It, because we're about to bring in some clone combat squadrons here, unless we really get hurt by the opponent. All right, Sentinel did its job there. And now I'm going to attack the base with this guy. All right, opponent just brought in another one of those. That's getting a little worrisome. 6 health is a lot to deal with. But see, this game, we are correctly flooding the space arena, and we're getting damage in, we're getting tokens played. That it turns out that early Sentinel was probably pretty helpful. And now we get to see the power of a clone combat squadron. It's an 8/8. And we're going to activate Vader. Now it's going to be a 9/9. So now we're really ramping up our space game. This is what I was hoping to do in the first 2 games, and we'll see if it works out for us in this one. There's still a lot that they can do to us here. Let's get rid of the indoctrinated pilot. Let's see what the opponent does here. So Boba Fett just flipped out. Okay, so now there's a 7/10 up here, which can attack our base. If this guy attacks this clone combat squadron, it'll kill it. But if before that happens, we play another one, we now have 2 8/8s. So he goes straight for base instead. Well, we're going to take our 8/8 and we're going to hit that base. All right, he's in desperation mode, trying to kill off whatever space units he can, because they only have 9 points left in their base. Now, when our Zygerian Starhopper dies, we do 2 indirect damage, so we'll send it to the opponent. Opponent takes it on this 7/10, which is now a 7/8. We will attack. We're going to end up doing 2 to 4 more damage here. All right, deal 2 damage to a unit. See, he's in desperation mode. He's trying to clear that board as much as he can, and it's good because he's bringing down the stats big time. We just went from 8/8 to 7/7 to 6/6 to 5/5 on these clone combat squadrons. Now, before we end the turn, we're going to create... Oh, I actually didn't even realize... Darn it, I didn't even realize we were on 6 resources. I would have flipped out Vader for that. Vader would have created 2 more TIE fighters, and we probably would have won on that. So I will create a TIE fighter. And then... next... Well, it really doesn't probably matter what happens now. I think it's almost impossible for us to lose at this point. But the only question is, do I want to flip Vader out as a unit and do 5 damage, taking this to 29 right now? Or do I want to flip him on the next turn? Or really doesn't even matter, because here's what I'll do. I will take initiative. And now we get the first attack. So just as in the last game, our base was damaged just enough that we couldn't stop our opponent. This game, our opponent has only 6 health left on his base, and we have 2 vehicles that are 6/6. So there's nothing the opponent could do here. We attack for 6, and we win. And there you go. That's what I was hoping to do in the first 2 games, and for whatever reason, it didn't work out. But game 3 was exactly the plan. Flood the space arena, and especially get out these clone combat squadrons, and then hit hard. So that is how our deck did. Obviously, again, this was a pre-release deck. So as a reminder, in the previous video, we took 6 packs from a pre-release box, opened them up, sorted the cards, and then assembled what I thought was the best deck we could get under the circumstances, which was this deck. And I'd like to think that winning half of our games against pre-built, fully featured spotlight decks, which include like 2 fire sprays in the Boba deck, for example, given that we kind of held our own, I think that was probably a pretty good deck. I think we probably built a pretty good deck. Anyways, that is both the opening of the box, the creating of the deck, and the testing of the deck. Tomorrow, I'm going to go to a pre-release for Secrets of Power near me, and I'm going to do this for real with real human beings, and I'll come back and I will let you know how that goes. I'll let you know if I can win at least one single match at my first ever human pre-release event. Until then, I'm just a 90s Star Wars kid. See you later.